Hey, how we doing, guys? I wanted to make a quick video talking about some things with the Simagic P1000 pedals. So I've seen kind of everywhere a few complaints that people have, particularly on the throttle pedal, and I just kind of wanted to address it just because I've seen some other ways. I just not seen anyone kind of talk about some easier ways to deal with some of the issues. So the first and biggest issue I see people complaining about is, realistically, it's just how sloppy the pedal is. It's just super soft. Even in its stiffest setting, it's a really soft pedal, and it's not great. So I've seen people talk about taking it apart and putting in the blue clutch spring, which does work, and that's a way to go about it. But if you really don't want to take this thing apart, and the only concern that you have with these pedals is the clutch, not the clutch, but the softness of the pedal, all you really have to do is add preload, and that's super easy to do. You don't have to take anything apart. Not sure why I see a lot of people not doing it, but I'll show you guys that real quick. So if you look, you just have this jam nut and this shaft here. And if you just loosen the jam nut, I already have mine pre-loosened, that's why I just was able to finger loosen that up. So you'll have to use tools. The jam nut itself is 13mm, the shaft is a 12mm. But just loosen that jam nut, and then all you have to do is spin this shaft, and that's gonna add internal preload on the spring. It doesn't change the travel or anything like that, it just changes the preload on the spring. And it's really simple how that works. There's a stop that stops this pedal from traveling any further forward. So as you spin this in, it's just spinning down the shaft and putting pressure on the spring, and it just adds preload. So realistically, just doing this, you can make this pedal really uncomfortably stiff. You can make it uncomfortably stiff, much more stiff than anyone would ever actually want it. So if you're just concerned about a soft pedal, just add preload, loosen up the jam nut, spin this shaft in until you get it to where you like it, retighten your jam nut, call it a day. No need to take anything apart. The concerns that I had with it, the soft pedal was part of it, but I also I don't like how excessive the travel is. It's just pretty excessive. That's a lot of throttle travel. I mean, that's more travel than my Ford Explorer, and it's supposed to be simulating a race car or a sports car, so it just doesn't make a lot of sense, and this is in its shortest travel setting. So I kind of started fiddling with this to see if I could find a way to soak up some of that travel, and at the same time, you also can't adjust this pedal position so you can get it to sit behind your brake for heel toe work. And I thought that was kind of a little bit of an omission. All the other adjustments on these pedals, that's not one. So you can fix that pretty easily, but you do have to take it apart. But I'm going to kind of walk you through it real quick. It's super simple. So again, just that jam nut, take all the preload off. It just makes it easier to pull apart. Cotter pin, washer, pop the pin out. This all kind of falls down. Just use some muscle there and push the shaft in, and this whole thing drops down. I've seen some other people take this apart at the backside. That's a lot bigger pain. You just gotta pull that pin and you can drop this down. Once it's dropped down, just spin the collar loose of the body itself. The whole thing drops out. Spring, body, etc. All we're gonna do is we're going to add these nylon washers that I found at a hardware store. I don't remember the size, so I apologize for that. But these are just nylon washers. We're gonna add these as spacers internally in between the stop and your collar. And all this essentially does is it pulls the shaft in. So if you picture the way the pedal sits on there, it's just pulling this in, if you will. So its rested position is further back. And my thought process on that was that'll allow you to then adjust more here, so you can adjust the position of the pedal better. And at the same time, this sitting further down inside the body means you're soaking up some of that excessive travel that this has right away. And you're adding preload to the spring. So you're kind of killing 3 birds with 1 stone, if you will. You're adding preload to the spring so it's stiffer. You're giving yourself a wider range of adjustment so you can set this pedal face wherever you want it. And just that way you can put it back further from the brake for heel toe work. And you're getting rid of travel. And it's super easy. Just spin this out. Pull the collar off. Add as many spacers as you want. Keep in mind, the more of these that you add, the less travel that you have and the more preload on that spring. So that's going to be kind of a personal preference thing. I added 5. 5 just made it for me to where it soaked up enough travel. So that was kind of what I found as a sweet spot. But these are pretty cheap. I think I paid like $2 for 5 of these or something like that. So it's not like this is expensive. Then once those are on there, you just put your collar back on. Spin this back together. And forgive me for the potato quality of video here. I'm doing this with a GoPro on my head. And just trying to use my hands, so it's not the best way to do a video, but it hopefully will get the point across here. Then let's put this back together. Again, no need to pull this apart from the back side there, which I found kind of to be more of a pain. Just now that there's the spacers in there, it does add preload, so it does make it harder to get this thread started, but once you get it started, it screws right in. So just get your collar tightened down on the body. Okay. Then just get this back onto the pedal. Now again, you're gonna have a lot more preload on the spring than you did, so it is a little bit stiffer to deal with, but it's not too hard to get that in there. Drop your pin back in. And I hope that I can actually show this here, but so now that's back together. And if you look at this, that pedal sits way further back from the brake now. And not only does it do that, but see how little throw there is now? And that stiffened up our pedal quite a bit. So it kind of killed a bunch of things. And now all you have to do is, well, you're gonna have to use a tool because this gets significantly tighter, but just spin this shaft to adjust your throttle position now. So instead of using this for preload, now what you're using this for is adjusting the position of the face so you can get this set kind of wherever you want it in relation to your brake pedal. I'll use a towel. Yeah, a little better. So just get that where you want it. Once you have your pedal face where you want it in relation to your brake pedal, then just retighten your jam nut. Again, 13 millimeter, 12 millimeter. Tighten that jam nut down and you're good to go. So this has stiffened up the pedal quite a bit. And if that's too stiff in the stiffest setting, you can always drop it one. But that also got rid of a ton of travel, which was a huge complaint of mine, was the travel. You also were able to adjust the face of the pedal in relation to the brake pedal. So in my opinion, that was, you know, a quick 5-minute fix that costed a couple bucks. Like I said, if all you care about is just the softness of the pedal, you don't have to worry about taking any of that apart. If you're comfortable with the travel and the position and everything else, just add preload to that spring like we did in the beginning, good to go. However, if you are trying to get rid of some of that excessive travel and be able to adjust this space and add preload, just add those spacers in there. It's quick and easy, and you can play with that. So I added 5 because I really wanted to get rid of some of that travel. But the less you add, the more travel you're gonna have. And then even if for some reason you add 5 and you're like, ah, that's too much, I don't want to pull it back apart, you still have your adjustment up top. So I have that all the way forward. You can move that more. But yeah, so I think that's it. I know, not the best quality video, and I sound all stuffed up because I'm sick, but I just kind of want to go over that real quick. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know.